school at our church right now because of the coronavirus. We are having church, but we can't have Sunday school because the rooms are small and we're too crowded, so we thought we would do some things online with you. So we'll go ahead and get started. First thing, I want to ask you guys, have you ever had somebody say something to you that really, really hurt your feelings? Probably you have. I think I have. Everybody probably has. How did that make you feel? Probably pretty bad. But on the other hand, have you ever had somebody say something that was really, really nice that made you feel really good? Well, today we're going to talk about words and what difference they can make to people. The Bible has some verses about encouraging others. The one I like the best comes from 1 Thessalonians 5:11. The first part of that says, encourage one another and build each other up. Now the dictionary says that encourage means to support someone, to help them, to give them courage and make them, feel better. And that's what the Bible verse says we need to do. And here's another one. Therefore encourage each other with these words. 1 Thessalonians 4:18. Today we are going to do a story that shows you how important using your words in a good way to make people feel better, why that's very important. But before we do that, I want to tell you that at the end of all these sessions we're going to do, we'll have a little art project. So what I'm asking you to do, I think what might be easy to do is each time I will tell you what you're going to need for the day. But if I were you, I'd just make up a little art box and keep it. And each time we'll add what you need to that. Today, for art, you're going to need crayons, and especially a black one, maybe a green one and a blue one. And you're going to need some paper. You can use green paper or you can use white paper. The white paper will probably be better for what we're going to do today. And we'll get back to our story now. The story we're going to talk about today, to tell you how important it is to use your words right, is going to involve a frog and a well. Now, in order to understand the story, you need to know a little bit about wells, and you need to know a little bit about frogs. First off, some of you probably have never seen a well. Used to, people use wells all the time. They use wells to get water. Now, if you want to get a drink of water, you probably just go over to the faucet and turn it on, and the water comes out, or you go to your refrigerator and get out of water. But in the olden days, and in some parts of the world now, if they want fresh drinking water, they have to dig a hole in the ground that goes way, 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 way down in until they find water. Because when it rains, the rain soaks down in and it stops where there's a rock. It kind of makes a little pond under the ground. So what a well is, it's a deep hole in the ground, usually lined with stones so that it's clean down there. And it has water in the bottom of it. Okay, now about frogs. Frogs, there's some important things you need to know about frogs to understand the story. Frogs lay their eggs in the water, then they hatch, and they're like a little tadpole, which is kind of like a little ball with a tail on the end of it. And it wiggles around for a while, and then it starts changing. Gets a longer tail, then it'll change, and it gets lungs instead of gills to breathe with, and it starts growing legs. And then the tail starts getting shorter, and then pretty soon it's got these great big long legs and it jumps out of the water. And the important thing you need to know about frogs for this story is they have really long legs and they can jump really well. Also, they have really loud voices. You can hear them going croak, croak, croak. When I was a little girl, I used to sit on my granddad's porch. He'd tell us stories because we'd listen to the frogs. And he would say, you know what those are saying? And I'd go, no. And he'd say, come across, come across, come across, too deep, too deep, too deep. Come across, come across, come across, too deep, too deep, too deep. And I could almost hear him saying that. So the important thing you need to know about frogs for the story is they've got long legs and really loud voices. Okay, let's go ahead and start our story about encouraging each other and building each other up. One day there were some frogs and they were out jumping and playing and having a great time, and one of them had great big long legs and was really to the well and fell right down in the well. Well, he was pretty far down. He kept trying to jump and jump and jump to get out. Of course, he felt at home in the water down there. He was swimming around, but he kept trying to jump, and he just couldn't jump that high. And he kept jumping and jumping, and he tried to climb, and he'd fall down, and he would jump some more, and then he'd climb, and then he'd fall down. He'd go up toward the side to see if he could find a tunnel. He tried everything to get out. And he looked up, he could hear his friends up at the top, and he could hear them talking. And one of them said, "Stay there, stay there, stay there. Can't get out, can't get out, can't get out. Too slow, too slow. You can't, you can't, you can't. Don't try, don't try, don't try." And he got so upset, and he thought, they're right, I will never get out of here. So he just kind of lay there floating around in the water thinking, I am stuck forever. He lay there for quite a while. And finally, he heard one little voice saying, "Jump high, jump high, jump high. You can, you can, you can. Come on, come on, come on. Jump up, jump up, jump up." And he thought, maybe I can do it. They all think I can. So all his friends started saying, "Come on, come on, come on. Jump high, jump high, jump high." And he jumped, and he jumped, and he jumped, and he finally made it out. And he was so excited, and so were his friends, because they realized that they almost caused him to be so depressed that he wasn't ever going to get out. But when they encouraged him, he was able to get out. And they knew the Bible verse, encourage one another to build each other up. It's something that they never forgot again. Now that's our story. So now we're going to do our art to help you remember that it's real important about your words and how that you can encourage other people. So what you need to do is get you a crayon. I'd start with a black one and get you a piece of paper. You can sit down and do it. I'm going to do mine up and down so you can see it. You can either turn the paper this way or you can turn the paper this way. It doesn't really matter. I've got my paper this way just because it's on my poster that way. But it's going to be important that you start kind of high when you draw, because if you start too low, you won't have time, you won't be able to draw the rest of the frog. So kind of start way up here if you're going to do that. Now, I'll go ahead and draw it. Here you go. And we'll tell the story as we draw. And you can tell it to other people about how important it is that they use their words like God wants us to build each other up. Okay, one day the frogs were out playing, and they were jumping and jumping. One of them jumped really high and fell down into a well. Down, 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 down he fell. He was very scared. He tried to jump back out, but he fell back down. He tried again to jump out, fell back down. He started going sideways trying to find a way out. He couldn't find it. Another sideways trying to find a way out. Kept doing that, still couldn't find a way out, so he kind of rested there. He did the same thing again. He tried and tried and tried. He was getting so tired jumping up and down. Trying to jump up and down. He went over again on the other side trying to find a way out. And he could not. He looked way up and he heard his friends. And they were saying, "Don't try, don't try." And he was so sad about that. He just kind of lay down and just kind of swam around down there where he was. Just swam around where he was. And then all of a sudden he heard something else and he looked up again, focused his attention way up there. He could see his friends. Oh, I forgot to tell you, he was really sad. There you go. Anyway, when he looked up and saw his friends, he could hear them this time, and they were saying, "You can do it, you can do it, you can do it. Come up, jump high, jump high." So he started trying to jump, trying to jump, trying to jump, trying to jump, and he jumped right up at the top and jumped out at the top. And he made it. Everybody was very happy. finished yet. I have a couple pictures here that we did already. I'm going to throw my paper in the well. There we go. Now, this is one here, and we put a Bible verse that tells, another Bible verse that tells that what Jesus said, that you do unto others as you would have them do unto you, because you would want people to be kind to you, so you're kind to them. This Bible, this one says encourage one another. And what I did with this frog is I drew it on a piece of green paper, and I cut it out, and when I did the rest of the picture, I pasted it on there. Okay, I'm going to show you how to color the picture, how to finish it, and while I'm doing that, I'm going to tell you another story about how I'm going to draw the pond right here, just a straight line across, and that's going to kind of be the pond. Put some little watermarks in there. When I start coloring, I put some clouds up here. You can write one of the Bible verses. I would write, encourage one another. Encourage. If you can't write, you can get somebody to help you do that. Encourage one another, because that's what you're trying to remember with your artwork, to use your words to help people. Okay, and while we're coloring, I'm going to tell you this other story, and this is a true story. I went to a ball game one time, and my team was really way behind. They were losing, and we were all really sad, and everybody was just depressed, and we were just sitting there. Nobody was cheering. Everybody was just real sad. And all of a sudden, it's about 5 minutes to go. It was the last quarter of the ball game. And one of the students in the student section, one of the kids stood up and started cheering. And they said, we love our team even if they're not winning. So we should cheer for them. And everybody else in the crowd said, that's right. So everybody started standing up and saying, you can win, let's win, let's win, let's win, let's win. And the coaches and the team turned around and looked. And before long, they were all fired up. And they started trying harder. And we won that ball game. We were behind by at least 2 touchdowns and came back and won that ball game just because people believed in them. And that can make a big difference. Got one more little story to tell, and then we'll stop. I want you to mainly remember the frog story today. But one time in my life, I was very sad. And I went to visit my home church. That's where I grew up. And one of the girls there, she was a little girl. I was feeling really down about myself. I was feeling like I was not very attractive. I thought I was really ugly. And I felt like nothing was going to ever go right for me, that I couldn't do anything right, and that I just was down. I don't know, I didn't have any reason to be that way, I just was. And this little girl walked up to me and she said to me, you are so beautiful. And she meant it. And I knew what she meant, that she was seeing me as God sees me. God thinks we're all beautiful and loves us all. But those kind words of her actually made me feel like that I could do stuff and that I could be beautiful. And I really have always appreciated her. She was a wonderful girl. And I just think that maybe that if you have learned your lesson today, you can try to help others. I think I'll finish this later because I could go on and on and on. But I wanted you to know that encouraging one another and building each other up is what we wanted you to learn today. And I hope you have learned this. I hope you've enjoyed the artwork. And if you like this, we're going to do some more later. You can tune in next week for another one. But before we end, I would like to have you say a prayer with me. So let's bow our heads. Our Father in heaven, thank you that you gave us natural things to teach us lessons. Thank you for the Bible that teaches us how we need to be. I ask you to help the children that are watching and to always remember that they need to be kind to other people. And if they do have someone that's kind of mean to them, help them to forgive that person and to be kind back. Be with us always in Jesus' name.